3, 2, 1. Blast off. Welcome to tonight's 14-carat Cabaret, the one and only in downtown, beautiful Baltimore. We are 30 years on with some abbreviations, but not in spirit. No abbreviations in spirit. Tonight, we're back downstairs. We did some shows upstairs last year, which were marvelous. And actually, some people better performing tonight there. Woohoo! Yay! But tonight's show is very special because it is curated by Andrew Shenker, aka Andy. So we are delighted to have Andy here, and he is going to intro all of tonight's performers. And we are also celebrating tomorrow, or at the stroke of midnight, or actually it might already be the year of the lapin, the rabbit, right now. So here we are. Enjoy the show. Love you.
Here we go. Thanks to 14-carat Cabaret, and particularly to Laure Drogoul for hosting and throwing me into the fire in a good way. Thanks also to you, of course, for joining us, and for the participants for giving themselves to such mischief. So the mask. A word about the mask, though. A strange coincidence. Because this series began, this is the third iteration, and still unnamed, so if anybody has any suggestions, open. But the first was a dog, and then the second was a cardinal. Theresa did the second, Laura the first, and they were large masks, so naturally I thought this one would follow suit. And it didn't, but the, the date is interesting. The coincidence is that I asked Laura, I'd like the first time, I said, we should do more. How many more do you have? She's like, I got a bunch. And I was like, okay. And she listed off the names, and I said, rabbit. And then it was going to be in the beginning of January, but felt that people would need to recover from the holidays and the New Year. So it just accidentally came on this date, which was nice, the Chinese New Year of the rabbit. So astonishing sometimes how things fall together and resonate. Like more accidents tonight. There's a person who I didn't even know they were going to be in town. Caroline Preziosi, who's going to be here tonight with us. So language, with its dreamlike memory, also has this stunning quality. A tongue, perhaps, you might imagine, licking a prehistoric wound. In any case, the title begins to trace out some remarkable connections, which I'd like to share as a preamble, if you'll indulge me a little more down this rabbit hole. Touch, for example, while not terminating in a common root to be looked up in an appendix, ends in the vulgar Latin, tocare, meaning to strike or ring a bell. There is a somewhat violent tinge to the arousing of memory here that is often indistinct, obscure, blurry, a violation of the whole, as the word intact clearly shows, insofar as it means quite literally not touching, whole, entire, complete, integer, virtuous, and even pure. By contrast, tact, of intact, tactile, at its root, tag means firstly to touch, and lastly, contaminate, to corrupt by mixing or contact, to bring into contact with. Further down the whole, it reminds me of the distinction Aristotle makes between touch and sight. Touch, initially, he says, is the most important of the senses. Shortly after, however, he privileges sight, because it gives the illusion of being out of touch while in it, a kind of scientific desire for an unreachable neutrality. Interesting to note tangentially that blend and blind share the same root. It reminds, too, of blind seers and the desire for justice, and once more of Aristotle in saying soft skin is a necessity for wisdom. More concretely, it draws me to myth, in particular the myth of Echo and Narcissus. Before that, however, speaking of myth, I'd like to circle back to the title, to fiction, to see fiction, fiction comes from the word touch, and you'll find at its root to knead clay, and just after bread, more precisely bread maker. And I think of companion, one who eats bread with another. Basic, elemental things. Clay, the oldest known ceramic material, long ago BC. Clay tablets of the first known writing medium. Even medicine, it has its place. And baked into brick, an essential part of load-bearing structures, with 1/4 to 2/3 of the world's population living or working in the buildings made of clay, according to Wikipedia. Probably closer to 30%, but maybe not. Also ancient are balls, used in games, scenes of which can be found in Egyptian hieroglyphs. And as we know, in many early cultures, it played an important role in social life. The Mayans, the Aztecs, lacrosse here dates back to 1100 AD. I mention this because both knead and clay mean primarily to compress or form into a ball, something between solid and liquid, a compact mass with qualities of viscosity and adhesion, something between solid and liquid. A non-Newtonian liquid, perhaps, like oobleck, gumming up the works. Oobleck, a nonsensical word which physicists took from Dr. Seuss's Bartholomew and the oobleck, which ironically kept the bell from ringing. Touch, to ring a bell, to knead clay, bread maker, companion, one who eats with one another, elemental things, nourishing bodies. Narcissus's body was not found, pining away at an image that fled from his touch, as he fled that of Echo's touch, his tears falling into the silver-like water, disturbing the image reflected. This just after having called to Echo, let us join one another, and Echo responding in the same words, with all her heart, let us join one another. Thank you for joining us tonight. We who show up missing, standing out, outstanding, in other words, existence. Just one word, actually. It's good to be here with you. Thank you for coming. And now, Margaret Rorison.
Hello. Thank you, Andy. So I'm going to read some writing, and I haven't done this in years, so I'm kind of nervous, but I'm excited for the opportunity, and there are 3 short pieces. And yeah, thanks for hosting, Laura, and okay, I'll start. This is called The Morphologist in the Kitchen. During our drives home, she would pull over with a quick one-armed swipe, parking behind the Lutheran church, wading in weedy fields and balding land, sweeping their lengths, anxiously looking below bellies of leaves, moving on. She was quick and accustomed to the process. After collecting, we held on to the milkweed limbs, riding home in the car, taking the back roads home, holding the pods close to our necks, hoping the larva wouldn't escape. The plastic aquarium already waiting for us in the kitchen when we got home. A small glass of water placed inside to hold the freshly picked milkweed stems. Each time we passed through the kitchen, we made a note of the progress of the caterpillars, chomping, molting, and eating their own skin, often finding them hanging in a J shape, just missing their transformation. On a few occasions, we caught the moment when their backs split, revealing a strange jade tube rotating vertically until a chrysalis formed. The milkweed would soon dry up in the jar, the hollow cage, stillness. My mother consumed by this incubation and eventual transformation into a monarch. As a young child, I could not be sure of her fascination, whether or not she envied the caterpillar's transformation, comforted in its ability to lose its exoskeleton, then fly away. There was always an obsession with the process that I could never quite follow. The day after metamorphosis, she would tell us it was our time to let them go. We carried the case down to the stream, away from the oak tree lining, singing out of tune as we undid the plastic blue clasp. Sometimes the butterflies needed a tap to find their new world outside the cage, captivated as they flew off towards the central highlands of Mexico and the valleys of Donato, using changes in the magnetic field to orient themselves south. During the moment of the release, my mother promised that they would return next year to the place in which they had morphed. This is the second piece. It's called Towards the Atlantic. I'm not sure how to take this ride together. As soon as we find a comfortable speed, I section myself off into some sort of memory trance like I always have. I find outlines of waveforms in the rhythm of the leafed tree tops, making songs with the flicker of light as it breaks through groups of oak trees. I try to find meaning in the concrete uniform rest stops, families taking car breaks with small dogs and hand-packed lunches, while overweight vacationers slog towards fast food lines, wetlands sectioned off by gas stations and drive-through lanes, roadkill. The highway thins and curves towards the Atlantic. Small tobacco stores with tinted glass, brand outlet shops, concave strip malls, nail salons, and discounted liquor stores selling cases of cheap beer. You stop to buy some cigars. Property lines expand, one house for every field, former plantations, screened-in porches over tilled soil, rotting wood, amid the expanse of sweet cornfields, perfect rows, a monoculture that dominates this part of the state. Wide arch metal irrigation systems, clusters of tan-colored bales of hay, flatlands, small stands with hand-painted vendor signs, sweet melon, ripe tomatoes, fresh peaches, and local corn, ceramic lawn ornaments, wooden Adirondack chairs, and wood chimes. And then this is, so I mainly make films, but I used to write a lot, and I'm trying to find my relationship to writing again. And I think I was trying to do an exercise where I was watching a work in progress, a short film of mine, but then writing in response to that. And so that's what this short little piece is. Timber Trail Road. Spring shadows form patterns from newly birthed leaves, a dancing rainbow fragmented along the worn kitchen walls. Pachysandra, curved fronds, young ferns, translucent petals, green boughs, morning fog. A dry surface, broken eastern light, my mother's shadow against the surface of an oak tree. A daffodil picked yesterday and placed in an antique glass vase on the sill by the kitchen sink. A medium metal funnel, reflections, movement, stillness, light passing through last night's champagne glass. The shadows replicate the pacing of the light between the trees. Erosion. The narrow stream traverses quietly below the wooden house. The home that carries secrets in the cluttered basement behind closed doors late at night. While year after year, The dense call of frogs close out the August evenings, and the tall birch trees creak as they move through the dry winter nights. Sometimes when I need to close my eyes, I slip outside and breathe in the dark. The cold air stings my throat, and the sky smells like smoke. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. The next is Leal and Orlando Johnson.
Why should you care? I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
But you're not like them. You're different.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Oh, you're quite articulate.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Make sure the doors are locked.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Did you put the alarm on?
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Let's cross the street.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
You're from Baltimore. I know you sold drugs.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Do you live in this neighborhood?
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Can I touch your hair?
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Well, this is really expensive.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
But you're not like them. You're
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic.
Oh, you have freckles. You must be.
I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be a statistic. Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what They do. Forgive them, for they do not know what they do. Forgive them, for they do not know what they do.
White is a way of being, not a skin tone. I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me. Huh? I wish you would listen to me. I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me. Huh? I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me. Huh? I wish you would listen to me. I wish you would listen to me. I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me. Huh? I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me. Huh? I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me.
I really think you have an anger problem.
I wish you would listen to me.
What?
I wish you would listen to me. Huh? I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me.
You're so spicy.
I wish you would listen to me. What? I wish you would listen to me.
Huh?
I wish you would listen to people of color.
What?
I wish you would listen to me.
What?
I wish you would listen to me.
Huh?
I wish you would listen to me.
I mean, but you don't look Puerto Rican.
I wish you would listen to me.
What?
I wish you would listen to me.
Huh?
I wish you would listen to me.
You're so exotic.
I wish you would listen to me. I wish you would listen to me.
Huh? You have the nicest skin tone. It's so golden.
I wish you would listen to me. I wish you would listen to me.
What?
I wish you would listen to me.
Huh?
I wish you would listen to me.
What?
I wish you would listen to me.
I don't like the way you're speaking to me. They are so angry all the time. I feel threatened. I don't know what they want from me.
I wish you would listen to me.
What?
I wish you would listen to me.
Huh?
So wait, I am an angry, spicy, exotic, golden person that you don't listen to. But I can't be considered a person of color because you don't think I'm that? Okay, because you think you're not discriminating.
Oh no, it's because you're crazy. You're making it all up.
I wish you would listen to me. I wish you would listen to me.
I have this great idea. What if you asked people to listen to you?
Thank you.
Thanks. And now Caroline from Chicago, by way of Baltimore and back.
Hi. Thank you so much, Andy, for having me here last minute. I'm going to read some writing, some poetry, and a lot of my writing process lately has been combing through work, condensing, and building bridges between things. So fortuitously, a lot of what's been getting stuck in the teeth of the comb has to do with touch. So this is just kind of a collection of notes on touch, I guess. 1. Touch is a test in order to feel what proximity does not prove or define. Intimacy as a desire to get as close as is achievable, if a body is a frame and no limit on that. 2. An echo of what I don't touch but hold. The broken wing of a swallowtail you hand me through a fence. It is a species that practices mimicry. Something harmless evolves to imitate signals of its deadly look-alike. They pattern their wings as poison and have no true defense when tested. It is a divergent species when given time for allopatry, which means in another place, and describes difference made of isolation, defined not by the condition of a barrier, but its effect. A river wide enough that it will make strangers of brothers, but allow the movement of birds. I mix sugar with water and hold both in my palm, as the swallowtail mimics its own death before performing it, allegorically, signal and cue, playing the predator's poison, as even eyes would be, a granted thing, shuddered where you stand and hold the animal in a gloved hand. It is little enough and wanting to give you nothing but softly. 3. When asked to imagine a landmark, I produce a window through which the light is always moving and every instant changes between eyes upon it, through which one gesture of wind can scatter what occupies the frame. Pillars of brick and the flag wrapping itself around, stray gales of the pear tree moving towards the glass as if looking for a door, smoke casting the sky as blue in contrast. A reminder, as we ration our hands and take the prodigal one for what it asks, of the physical fact that touch is not achievable. Our atomic difference suspends us, keeping always a measurable space between. 4. Of charge, of touch, this world understands almost nothing but words, and we have come into it with almost none. Only what is lost in the currency of speech as we teach it. But do we understand delay and what that changes? Or is it the same bird once we name it? And sometimes does it sing only for itself and come into this world a mouth or a trap when it is used in this way? And the body is a map, as words are filling the blind spot and still creating it. No question and no doubt, yet what if what comes back is not memory but substance? No question worth answering in words, which if anything are a failed translation, grasped when we should be turning back to our first language. 5. Which compares levity with darkness, love the opposite or evidence of fate. The hand can be a tool, can be hospitable, and walk us back across the bridge we build. An image is always perimeter or periphery, a means of joining corners into a frame. A stranger's hand reaches out with a light bulb between middle and forefinger, another against his thumb, and you are the one meant to catch them. Thank you.
What a great happy accident. Thanks for being here. And the next, Lily Herman.
Thank you, Andy, for organizing. When I heard that the theme was touch, first thing I thought of was this essay that I'm working on about the Train Spotting sequel. And I'm not reading that, and it's not because I don't want you all to hear my fantasy of like having a gentle train run on me by Sick Boy and Renton in their 50s. It's because I don't want Lawrence to hear me try to do a Scottish accent, is really why. So I'm going to read 2 poems. This first one is just called Maybe. The poem that begins, "My friend and I are in love with the same woman," makes you 2 brothers out to be 2 beasts, grazing happily side by side,
united by affection and cud for a common muse. A woman coupling available with aloof, turning on the steps to look back over one bare and lowered shoulder. 3 photographers who spent an evening with Marilyn Monroe, each confessed afterward to the thought that if the other 2 would just beat it, something magnificent was going to happen. Maybe the woman was in love, but not as much as either of you had hoped with your adolescent jockeying. Maybe the woman lighting your lamps and marshalling your stars, the Irish lady who made potatoes dance, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair, was not the devotee you took her to be, but stayed late in bed dreaming fitful dreams instead of climbing the steps glazed with morning mist, to the temple where mothers knelt to leave meat and smoke in exchange for one boy growing tall, for another's safe return, for an end to your brother's suffering. Maybe she was the statue in its hale and comely silence, or the offerings of wine, small mirrors, rosary beads wrapped 3 times around virgin hands. Maybe she was the misaligned star by which all others learned to demand rigor and rightness of themselves. Maybe she was made of words your sister and I couldn't speak to our brothers in spite of your wish to understand, because men's ears weren't shaped to hold the sounds for what was done to us, no matter how often it was men who did the doing. Or she was the way home that you became a monk to cease remembering. When my husband died, I walked barefoot from day's end to end, and at the gate that would have taken me to his eternity, I found you and your friend roiling in your shared love like you sweated next to each other in summer, spitting the words you'd learned for lust into the patch of dirt that divided you, Horatio waiting to see the murdered king's ghost and ask it for a story. 2 centuries bridging death and life with yet another insufficient question, or a pair of brothers that everyone wants to see kiss. What we have is saltless bread, hurried into a sack as the final sounds of exile closed in and drove you from one more home, where your mother sang, where your father practiced first medicine, then prayer, and each carried a jar containing half of your face until you came along and learned to inhale, hold your breath, and exhale for a full minute each. Where even then you were preparing to leave me and I was preparing my seizures at being left. When this house turned upside down, your brother gestured at you that hold your breath, that not all men had learned mercy from your father's God, certainly not all soldiers. Maybe the woman is a moonless night, the black lake that shines in the dark, stinking like coal against a backdrop of your prayers. Or the way that later you held your mother in her months of dying, stretched her with your strength into bathing and resting shapes, or the girlishness with which she asked in her final moments if she was about to be married. Maybe I'm the woman, coming to kiss you with lips still wet from pronouncing my love for your friend like a diamond, my love for you like a dog. As my simple fury burns, shivering and bell-founding, my love is a single note for the righteous and the nauseated. Or I'm the friend, trying to love you through the water of a woman who refuses to become conduit. Or else I'm momentarily you, careful not to say anything you wouldn't say, so that your life will be as you left it, sidling down the mountain slantways, mindful that my knees can withstand 30 years more knocking than yours can. Maybe you're the woman, and I've been unfairly coming to claim your time with my season of petty heartbreak and pneumonia. Maybe there is no woman, and we're crossing through a valley toward the bounty we'd always imagined to be our fate. The fog close and kind above our horses' rocking heads as we reason it's more dangerous to travel in twos, but safer by night. Or the woman is the man who walked me to the edge of his deathbed, but once we were there, couldn't perform any ritual to uncouple me from what was lying there, or to bear me away with what had gone. Or you and your friend are cockles clinging to your shells, and she's the ancient wave winging you toward your beloved. The speed you build up and the momentum you lose. The pitch of sightless foam in which neither of you fear what you've forgotten. You can hear a woman singing above the sea. I read the long one first. And this one's about fucking. On a bright morning where I suck you standing, you are as tall as the big Sur trees. Your hair is high enough to hassle the sky. Sun throb pulsing through powdered scrim. The membrane hungers for its own transgression. I want to kneel beside the stables and drink from mud ruts, pools of water fog beneath warm horse mouths. We laugh at the monk who guessed he could give up all women, but struggles with the limitation of one. The slick you made in me when you said, use your voice. Maple to maple, sap tipping through tap lines. Your kiss still speaking into my mouth when my answer begins. Trees that just supplicate, bare-bodied beneath their raised limbs. In the dream you rocked like a sea surge into someone else. Her body is my heart, the way you came in. A kiss of silt and salt. Water runs clean through my teeth. I prayed for your flowers to put my face in. Sharp underscent of arms, what ripens above our heads and rots beneath our feet. I don't love your fears, but the way you name them. Station stops along this train. Less than towns, more than a single haunted house, gasping like me at being entered. Or coming from the couch to your ear, carrying the whisper like warm milk, yes, I believe in God and getting good with him. Yes, my mouth remembers tits raised to me, stars in the dark, my tongue swirling a hateful flag's inverse into wet earth, shining gemmy and wormful, winter rain on steamed soil. Yes, walking into the ocean, wool wetting my squeaked skin. I want you like a wave when you tease words from silence, aching pith which would otherwise calcify in our bodies. The horse speeds to a trot. The man's tongue lucks and clicks, touch your cock this fast, get to know you this slow, my hind and haunch tightening on the turn to prove the cues are coming through. If I still know my own name, it's a drip toward the floor from between praying legs. I made my puddle, I'll lie in it. Thanks for listening.
The song is called Tony Soprano. Days on earth go by, and I'm in trouble this time. Well, I can't say just why, but I'm in trouble this time. I'm on shift, an infinite lift couldn't bring me back. To the park, in the infinite dark, where we fell right through the grass. Walking the boardwalk of a dream. When you see me, you better kiss my cheek. Why am I at home amongst the pushers and the toughs? Why do we love the ones who don't love us? I can't help it. I was born this way. I was born in New Jersey on the coldest day. I can't say just why, but I'm in trouble this time. Days on earth go by, and I'm in trouble this time. I might be a little heavy on the verb, I don't need so much. I don't need to be in a cave. I'm already in a cave. Too loud enough? Good. Well, we're going, driving through the past. Baby, don't you know, we're driving pretty fast. I wish I could explain things like weather. How do you explain things like the weather? Without a weather vane. Well, we're going, driving pretty far. Baby, don't you know, I don't know where we are. I wish I could explain things like a garden full of wine. Driving through a garden full of wine. at you in the mirror again. Fucking around on the ground in a tree. No one's coming up to get you down. I am my own stunt double. My own stunt double. Driving like this, scaring the piss out of anyone who's tried to come along for any part of the ride. I don't know you, and I don't know your dog. And all of my heroes have been pulling the plug, but I'm still my own stunt double. My own stunt double. Even though I'm black and blue, even though I fell right through, even though I look like you, still my unstuntable. My unstuntable.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again for your patience. 0.1 grand.
This is nice. Yeah, right? Got to.
You'll just have to check our messages.
Yeah, we're just checking our messages.
You're so busy.
Yep. Cox 6.
What did you say?
Allegheny.
Oh, okay.
Memo. Memo. Balloon. Allegheny. Allegheny. Memo. Memo. Balloon. Balloons. Allegheny. Allegheny. Balloons. Balloon. Cox 6. Spruce. Spruce. Balloons. It's because we're playing live. That's why. Yeah. Allegheny. Oh, well. Balloon. Balloon. Allegheny. Cox 6. Yeah. Yeah. A most tangible ghost arose with the sun. Appeared under the cloth, the heat, the cat, surrounding. A hand guides the tree. These heavy eyes. So close to the road, just peeled back. Down the cliff, a second set of lids. The sand settles in. There's a second sun. When the traffic dies down, illuminating everyone. I can hear the water. Every ocean inch. Every unknown scene. I can hear the water. Water pick.
Glass of wine, glass of air, glass
We'll hear from Austyn Wholers. And I have to say, this came about through a connection Fodden's on in some way, where it came back to my imagination. I just saw posted today that they're having a 10-year anniversary for W.C. Harlan's, which, you know, that's a beautiful thing to acknowledge, even though we're at 14 carat, but we're all friends.
Thanks everyone for coming out. To my friends who came out, and to Andy and Fortika Cabaret and all the other performers. I'm working on a novella about a woman who is an alcoholic and a sculptor who is seduced into working on like a Christo-fascist land art project, which may or may not double as a prison complex. And it sort of begins with a flash forward to some of that world, but I'm actually going to read from the beginning of the second section, which introduces you to her life and comes first chronologically. At the loneliest time of my life, I was living in the desert. I was out of my mind. I was there to hide from the problems and the guilt I had endured in the metropolis my new town orbited. My town was on the boundary of the wilderness. There you could see the landscape for what it was, the kind of desert which is at times a sun-baked beige and at others soft-hued, pastels that seem to evaporate when you look at them directly. Beatrice was my only friend. We had both been sculptors and had previously lived, not together, though we were acquainted in that larger city. She was talented. At 23, she'd attained the closest thing either of us would ever get to real success, with her clay sculptures made to look like folded fabrics, enough money from selling pieces to people in places like Berlin and New York to only have to work part-time. She quit when the series had run its course, the money ran out, and she found that she was out of ideas. Going to art school was the worst decision of my life, she used to say. I should have been an engineer. I never made any real money, but my work carried enough weight that I never used to go out without running into friends or making new ones. I was popular. People knew and discussed my sculptures. They tried to get to know me or pretended to already. I made ceramics and additives shaped like animals at various levels of abstraction. People found them violent, grotesque, and provocative instead of cute, which was the risk I knew I ran. Eventually, I ran out of ideas, too. I quit, too. It's a disgraceful way to abandon a dream. We met often at the bar to complain about our lives. I drank a lot. That was one of the problems I had intended to run from, though of course almost every night I found myself at the dive bar with Beatrice, down the block from the health food store where I worked, fuzzy lights, pink and orange neon, cheap beer, and the pleasurable anonymity of drinking at a place where no one knew my name. I felt there was a great void within me, and a kind of film or membrane preventing me from connecting with other people. I thought I wanted to continue my work, but weeks passed without touching the blocks of clay piled up in the corner of my apartment. Seeking inspiration in a social circle, I used to frequent art events, but I could never fully integrate on account of my drinking. One night, for instance, I went to a photography show at a cocktail bar on the other side of town. The photographs were black and white shots of our desert landscape. In the background of each photograph, almost too small to see, were veiled women in various poses of distress. One lamenting with her hand over her eyes, another crumpled up in the sandy dirt in the fetal position. I looked around the bar, but found it impossible to approach anyone. No one else had come alone, and I had nothing to say about the photographs. I felt I didn't connect with them. Something about them disturbed and upset me. In reality, I was losing my ability to speak intelligently about art. Instead, I downed beer after beer to try to annihilate my timidity. Finally, I struck up a conversation with a sad-looking, sunken-eyed man whose companion had attached himself to another group. I immediately spilled an entire draft beer into my dress.
I was drenched. I looked down. Others were looking too. My dress was completely saturated. Its color had deepened from a royal to a midnight blue, like the sea at night. Embarrassed for me, the bartender copped my drink. I left humiliated. Besides, I liked my dresses and wanted to get home quickly to clean it. That's another thing George always liked about me, how I dressed in flowing fabrics. He called it modest. By the time we met, I was all alone, because soon even Beatrice was lost to me. She called me on a slow day at the health food store. It's gone, she said, it's all gone. Her house had burned down in the night. I'll be right there, I said. I abandoned the register. Maintaining my friendship with Beatrice was worth more to me than any job. She was the only thing separating me from the horror of absolute solitude. When I arrived, she was sitting in the dirt. All she had managed to salvage was a black trash bag full of some clothes. Her blue eyes were red with tears like heated steel. Her hair fell over her face as she sat with her head in her hands. We drove to my apartment in silence. My place was small, drab, and almost empty, but I lived alone. Only the creamy colors of the desert in my windows brought me happiness. I blew up an air mattress for her in the kitchen, where she dumped what was left of her life and curled up like a dog in its bed. Secretly happy I'd have a roommate for the next few weeks, I returned to work floating. Secretly happy while I dealt with customers, secretly happy when my boss chewed me out. He was an acid-fried, wiry-haired guy with a great capacity for fury. Something of Beatrice's misfortune had made me feel radiant. I was grateful to be useful and needed. But when I came home, she was already packing up her things. She had decided to return to the city. Fire is a cold, impersonal tragedy. After 3 days, I was alone again. If I was being honest, I thought bitterly. We barely knew each other. When I tried to remember our artistic conversations, it was all a drunken blur. Local gossip, the men we were sleeping with, all strangers. Thanks.
We're going to take a quick pause, but I will share an anecdote while they're doing that. Seems like the right time. Some of you may have heard it before. It's one of my favorites and it seemed fitting. I draw a lot in the coffee shop around the house. I go to a lot. This is years ago. I knew this kid since he was like 1 year old. His parents would come in all the time. When he was 4 years old, came in and he was really excited and he sees me drawing and he asks if I can, if he can draw me a picture. And I said, yeah. He started drawing, he looked up to me and he says, I have special powers. I was like, really? And he didn't skip a beat. He's like, yeah, I can read people's minds. And I said, can they be anywhere? Or they have to be close? And he said, no, close. And he pointed to his mom with his little, weeks-old sister right nearby. He says, yeah, my mom right there. She's like, she loves us and she worries for us. And I'm impressed. Can I ask you a question? He says, yeah. I said, how about your own mind? And he looked up to me, his eyes went funny, and he said, no. The next is Ray Red and Cliff Doby.
Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? Hello? Hello? Did you hear what I said? Is this all in my head? Okay. It's not me. Or is it? I don't fucking know at this point. It feels like I'm yelling into a vacuum right now, hoping, if not, please, just let me be able to reach some small piece of you. Let my screams be heard on the other end by some sort of specter of you, some semblance of your sentient being, something with feelings, something that can see me, that can smell me, that can hear me. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do it. It's too much. Being here without you, I can't stand it one more minute. But how long have I been here? Has it been hours, weeks, months, years? How long? Maybe I've been here forever. Forever and always. Maybe I was born of this place. Maybe it's some kind of cosmic destiny that I'm right here, right now. So maybe I should just accept it. This is it. This is what it is. Maybe I'm supposed to wait. Wait here for you to come and get me or to come join me. I can be patient. I can do this. I can do it. I can and I will. I'm not going anywhere. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I'm supposed to stand here and call out to you until I hear you, until I see you, until I smell you. And I will. Because that's what we do. When it's too much, when we don't know what to do, when we feel like giving up. We get a glimpse of the light at the end of the tunnel, and we get up and we keep going. It's who we are, and it's what we're built for, and I will do it. I will do it because you need me. I will do it because I have to. And because I love you, I won't give up.
My love must be a kind of blind love. I can't see anyone but you. Are the stars out tonight? I don't know if it's cloudy or bright.
I'm a ghost, and so are you. I'm a ghost of my memories. I'm a ghost of your touch, of feelings and actions and words, of body pulsing and aging hormones, neurons and nerves, a ghost of family and bloodline. queer lineage, queer blood, Marsha P. and all the heroes that busted forth, of place and the earth and its beats and rhythm. I am a ghost of past, of stories winding with words, of touch, bodies and traumas, of feelings and deep emotions, big loves and devastating heartbreaks, close family and far ancestors that hear me now. I'm a ghost of the cities I've lived in, the places and homes, the homes that are mountains and rivers and waters, a ghost of plants and trees, a ghost of learned biases and fears, a ghost of magic, bliss, pleasure, yearning, a ghost of conflict and debate and harm, a ghost of regret and pride, of learning and knowledge, processing and processes, birth, childhood, play, laughter, a ghost of deaths and mourning rituals, songs, art, dance, sunlight, rain, dirt, wind, fire, spirit, stars, ether, structures I was born into, structures that contain me, structures that I am creating. I am a ghost, and so are you.
Heather Rounds, one of my favorites.
Wow. Thanks, Andy, for bringing me into the fold of another one of your curatorial visions, and to Laura for being the anchor here, as always. Q8 Zoo. Over 400 animals at the Q8 Zoo lost their lives during the Iraq invasion. Some caretakers secretly brought food to the animals during the occupation. Songs at the zoo ceased long before the walking arrived. All tongues trapped in trapped skulls, even those still breathing remained quiet. The walking came from the coast, the oily black line between land and sea. It gathered and moved inward, leaving behind the curdling shore, pressing down tar balls, the blue eggs of turtles. A bitter brown flood of light broke, and the zoo's breathing felt something nearing. They knew not what, only that it couldn't be songs. The wide formations, the clusters, the one behind the other. It caught the noses and came in hollow. Reaching the zoo, the walking began by skirting the long openings in walls. What cages, what glass there was, stopping at each point, peering into each opening. In some spots it found the breathing. In some spots it tore the locks away, pushing the breathing towards the openings.
Some breathing nosed out quick, some hesitated at the edge. Eventually, much of it moved past the walls, cages, and glass. The walking watched the breathing nose new pass. In some other language, the walking said, "Go fast, not so fast." Steadied a trigger on the breathing, flick grenades, lit bullets, go. Much of the breathing stopped and collapsed, deflated. The walking made piles of the collapse and deflated, split apart the wood of fences, built fires between erected tents. The walking shoved the unbreathing through wood, let it spin over fire. Eventually rose as ash. The walking had walked in hungry. Songless, unable to escape itself, struggling to measure distances, some breathing nosed the air, felt the smoke of the walking, the rustling of erected tents, kept a distant path collected in shifting lines, some breathing nosed around for songs, thinking they might appear on the tracks near bushes, up from holes, through a strange citrus light. Some breathing returned when it started, back through openings in cages, walls, and glass, sleeping in pieces, measuring through bars the slow buildup of all hours, color warming and cooling. The day hard at its shell and songless, and still some breathing, the deadening of blood, a night, then a hand. The hand first appeared with the sound of wind. It slipped through the bars where something breathing lay. It swung down, unballing spotty bananas and corn husks. The hand rose over the breathing, briefly trailing an acrid smell, sharp in familiar ways, indicators of fields beyond new paths. A night, then a hand. Some mornings when the breathing rose, the hand would, too. It came with the sun between splits in the tree lines, when the walking kept a distance and the breathing breathed in, mostly hungry. The walking brought unfamiliar songs, nothing the breathing knew. The walking songs got loudest with the moon. They clicked from the tents, grainy and static, quick to start and end. The breathing kept far, but never so far to lose the walking songs, attempting to measure the distance. What could fly off from this had long since tried with deadening blood and ingested feathers. So much dropped in the effort. The walking looked up from the tents and caught the wrong direction in progress. Sometimes the walking shot the flying down. Sometimes the flying flew on. Sometimes it dropped on its own. Sometimes the walking came for the breathing. It dragged what it could back towards the tents, and what remained, what walking couldn't drag, pressed further into the bushes, the holes under cages, the walls, the glass, what dark collected around the cracks. Where did the songs go? Some breathing questioned with noses continued tracking for pockets of undiscovered songs. It nosed towards the growing piles of collapsed and deflated, found at the base of browning palms and carefully placed stones or charred in clumps gathered deep inside dry marshes. The breathing persisted, stopped to nose each point, waiting some time for a song not there. Some breathing, and then the hand. The sun in the hand. Quietly downward, dried berries, ripe dates, spotty bananas. The walking at its furthest distance. The breathing nosed the hand and scanned for the songs along the fingers. First go songs and then memories of songs. The breathing followed the natural direction, collecting dark in the tracks, thinning through slow hours. Eventually the breathing looked less for songs, stayed far from the piles and clumps. First go songs and then the memories of songs. A pressure began weakening in the cells of the breathing. The cells fell inward, one by one, spun down towards unknown locations, narrowing and no longer rapid. But still, the breathing continued, knew there was something to seek, turned what direction it could from the darkening. The night, then the days, the hand, some hands, songs eventually. Songs began again when the breathing had turned enough directions, slowed enough in its tracks. First, the simplest sprung from the patterns, rhythm found in the breathing itself, the opening and closing, the opening and closing, the in and out, and then those past songs, bits of them falling from trees. A night, then a day, a night, then a day, remembering to look for songs. A day, a hand, an opening, a closing, and cells expanding outward, back up. Those songs aligned slowly, began collecting near that untouchable vibrating edge into breathing that only breathing knows, a hole to climb out, up and away from tense, tight dirt, softening when meeting the air, nearing the trees. The opening and closing, the in and out, the hand, songs springing from patterns, the count of time passing, cells expanding on branching paths. The hand was there the day the walking gathered and walked out of the zoo's entrance. The walking left behind the erected tents, the split wood and fires. And the walking dragged that brought noises outward, pressing the ground into ridges, back toward the oily black line between land and sea. The breathing breathed. The bugs found their places and spun in points around piles of deflating unbreathing. One more bird flew over, a black dart with wind over songs, the rhythms of still piles, the clumps, the cages, the walls, the glass. Thank you.
Up next, I believe, is Theresa and Jake, Theresa Columbus and Jake Zabawa. Then we're going to take a break and come back and listen to Herald and Hellp with 2 L's.
Good to touch you.
Oh, good to touch you too.
Mwah. Can you tell me about your first touch of deodorant?
Oh, well, I remember my mom putting my sister's first deodorant on her, which was roll-on, and I said, "How does it feel?" And she said, "It kind of tickles." And the name brand of the deodorant was Tickle. How about you?
I remember my first coat well. I was at soccer practice and my teammates said, "You stink." So I went to my dad and I said, "Can you buy me some deodorant?" And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I stink." I knew that someone stinked. I didn't know it was me.
Oh.
Isn't it interesting how our senses are interconnected?
Yes. When one sense can really unleash another sense. And you know, all of those feelings of deodorant and the smell is so undeniably part of being a little pubescent animal. Did you ever stick your hand in someone's armpit because you were trying to tickle them or drag them, and you discovered it was very wet and fragrant?
Yes, that's my favorite kind of armpit, if I'm being honest with you. But tickling is definitely a kind of touch that you should ask for first. I remember my mom says that tickling is torture because her sister used to ambush her with unwanted tickles.
Oh, well, in this day and age, tickling is almost a moot point because of this age of consent. You know, who is going to say, sure, yeah, tickle me? I mean, maybe you would, but not if you were really ticklish, probably not.
Wow, that's so true. Are you ticklish?
Why do you want to know?
Well, because this seagull just dropped these two feathers from above. Do you think we should use them for a tickle fight?
Well, do you actually think a feather will tickle? In my youth, when I was tickled, there was usually a waggling, jabbing finger that did it. How about you?
In my opinion, it's a tickler saying, I'm gonna tickle to the ticklee that's so scary in a good way. I think it brings on the tickle event horizon.
Well, we use these things and do a little civil battle?
Certainly!
Oh, shall I say, I'm gonna do it? Do you think this is actually gonna tickle? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Go. How do you feel?
I feel great. How do you feel after the tickling?
I feel really jazzercised and like all of my molecules have been nicely jostled. I wonder if like it's going to be the next Hellp kick where people are on the field tickling each other.
Yeah, I think someone could definitely write about the benefits to the epidermis.
True. However, tickling is so divisive. I mean, maybe raise your hand if you love a good tickle, waggle. If you love a good tickle, but if you can't stand a tickle, raise your hand.
If you can't stand to get tickled, cover your pitties. If you love getting tickled, waggle your fingers in the air. And don't tickle anyone.
That's not an invitation. Okay. Well, to get to the bottom of this, maybe the people, some of you that are waggling, there's a few of you. Could you maybe volunteer to come?
Like 4 people?
Come up. Yeah. We got some wagglers. Here, you can actually stand right there.
If you sit on your butt right in front of us, and is there anyone else that wants to join us?
I think we've got the 2.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are there places you don't want to get tickled?
Other than my crotch. Okay. Feel good about Herald? And any other limitations or structural? Okay. Let's. I'm Margaret.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, I mean, you have the long sleeves on. Here, put up the neck.
think it leaves a lot to be discovered.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so cool.
We are so slobbery.
Good thing we have these little handkerchiefs with which to wipe our moist mud.
Handkerchief is such an old-fashioned nice thing. I mean, some people say, oh, I'm so glad we live in an age where we don't carry around mucousy fabric. I don't feel that way.
I love them. It's so good, especially when I can't tell the difference between my sweat and my tears.
Is your moist musk?
Oh yes, to touch the clean up my moist musk.
It's coming out pretty small, but your moist musk really causes my tears to form in my own eyes.
Yes, and yours does the same to me as well.
Oh. Well, you know, it doesn't really matter whether it's a tear or whether it's a sweat. It still means something important is happening.
Methinks it might portend the next act.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. You're in for a treat. This is Herald.
Good evening. I had sinus surgery last week, and it seems good. I recommend it to anyone who has a blockage in their nose. Air is a fabulous thing to have a new appreciation for. Because I'm going to talk rather more than sing, I think. But trying to theme it on touch is tricky, but one idea I'd had before this was there was a band in the 80s in the UK called Felt, and there were all these bands in Britain in the 80s and 90s called like Denim and Suede and Pop, just these one word really. But Felt were always a little bit different. I thought, they're just a British band, I'm not saying you need to go and check them out, but they were lyrically very interesting, and the name wasn't Felt the fabric, it was the past tense of feel. And when I learned that, I was like, well, that just became the best name I've ever heard. The most evocative name. So anyway, they had this really amazing keyboard player who was incredibly young. And they made this record, the first record I heard by them, the B-side was this really beautiful piano piece. And it was like, what's this doing on an indie band's record? But I realized they just had a wider scope of reference. And he always struck me as the sort of person that could be inspired by the minute to the large. His name was Martin Duffy, and since I was 16, I thought he was a really fabulous person. And he died, and I was like, that's weird, because I was going to do some Felt songs. But then I tried to learn felt songs and I realized the guy was really fucking good at the piano and I couldn't play any of the parts. So I've definitely been thinking about him a lot, but none of it's his music. That being said, what length of cord do I have? A short leash. I'll begin. Okay. Thanks. When she has loosened the ties of her Sidonia turban and turned on you her heavy eyes, perfumes will waft on you like Arabian spice that those that love with its own hands made. I'll spare him, brothers. He feels the force of true love. We just came to where we were called, and now he's putting his jacket back on. Go now and learn to spend the nights at home, but it was dawn I wished to see if she slept alone. And she was indeed alone in her bed. I was stunned, she never looked so good. Except when in that purple gown, she spoke her dreams to pure Vesta, in case they pretended harm to her or me. That's how righteously she did sleep. Alas, the dangers of beauty unadorned. Why, she said, would you spy on your girl so early? You suppose my habits to be like yours? I'm not so slippery, one's enough for me, whether he be you or someone true. And not one extra dent was there to be seen upon the bed. No sign the two had laid or wallowed around. And no heavy breathing rose from her body. The idiot's proof of adultery. She smiled and pushed my lips away with a hand, made off her feet in Eastern loose sandals. And I stood astonished at so pure a love, and since that time I've known no happy nights. I should point out that that is by Preziosi, the Roman poet of the 1st century of BCE. I've been in a chair for the last 2 weeks and I've been reading quite a bit, and Preziosi really got to me. He's going to creep in and out lyrically. Just wanted to give credit where credit's due in case his family are here, like. Turning all over the baskets down at the bazaar, all but to find that they have not once left the bar. In all that sojourning, sometimes you forget to check the news, and you concern yourself primarily with obscure and dangerous views that you persuade yourself are parallel to the truth. Such hearts eventually meet a feeling called the blue. And when your ride is tired and you have to rest the day, and all the farriers in town are drunk or gone away, just throw your bag down and say what a fantastic place to stay, and never curse your path and never think to stray. Now time and tide decree that we must move our hips, on the occasion of our involuntary eclipse. To the horizon sail 5 heavy-masted ships, and in their hold lies the coating for the very loosest lips. One time. Too close so you'll get put off by how they smell. Place yourself too far away, you'll think it's just an outer ring of hell. But hit that sweet spot 6 feet back, Lord, how they excel. Your little heart starts racing and your chest begins to swell. And when they leave your life, you may find that your car has been rifled through completely, though they have set off no alarm. So in the future, cap your drink and leave the door ajar. Nobody's paid for it, they still don't know who you are. And now time and tide again decree that we must move our hips. It's now the anniversary of our involuntary eclipse. To the same horizon sail 5 heavy-masted ships. And in their hold is still the coating for the very loosest lips. we can never speak a word. And you don't mind me asking a personal question, how do you break the bread? But then I look at you again, and I realize that's not likely a problem, live just like you do. Got to smile small, but from your mouth the truth may fall. You've got a heart as pure as the river at the door. Credit to George Dale, but I think these would sound like this. Castaway shots of a long shadowed mirror, snag on your skin in a storm. Reflections of heaven divided by 7 suggest a clinch still seeking form. Renegade priestess initiates power drive. She's dragging her flock to the throne. Deb dark dancers deplete when the weakest are mantled in their joyous night song. Some make the airy and some hide in hydrogen tide. Why call it an inside if outside is where we must hide? So I took the curse and I ran till I lost them. Spent that first night in a ditch. Took something home that keeps twitching the curtains and talks to my folks when I'm sick. Grandiloquence in the way that you spit, we lined up to watch you make love. Burning your papers and cheating your foes. Passion seems cheap when it's dripping down from above. Why call it an inside if outside is where we must hide? So meet me outside and explain why you're leaving. Shove me around if you must. Grant me the time just to shake this great fever and get back to an average pulse. But if you're expecting some older and wiser, me with instincts to protect, you might punch the cunt who's convinced he's the line between dickhead and decadent. Some make the airy and some hide in hydrogen tide. Why call it an inside if outside is where we must hide? And only an insider knows what is truly outside. Where some make the airy and some hide in hydrogen tide. Some make the airy and some hide in hydrogen tide. So, getting back to Proportion. He wrote these books about himself and this woman Cynthia, and they had a tempestuous but fulfilling relationship, which, given that it's know they're on a journey together. So Lotus just waved and this bit I thought, the spectral figures, torches held high, search for their wounded where the vultures lie. But vultures don't lie, they hawk a truth that awakes in a misty morning on your mouth. Right always to love those dogs and scan their traits onto all but one. But lately, a praetor has come from Olympia, and it seems you have accounting to be done. Persistent complainings breed dislike in many. A woman is often broken by a silent man. So if you see something, always deny that you've seen it. Or if something happens to pain you, deny that pain. But if neither your pain nor beauty held me fast, the mildness of your service could so hold the 7 full moon's orbit that now is drawn. And since no street corner's been mute about me and you, and your door has often yielded to me, and I've often been given the freedom of your bed, I have not bought a single night there with costly gifts. Whatever I was is great thanks to your heart. When many sought you, you sought only me. Am I able to forget such a disposition? Well, if so, let Tracy's furies harry me and condemn me to the courts of hell. My sentence to wander among the birds of Titus, and then carry rods with Sisyphus toil. At the last my oath shall be as it was at the first. This my perennial law, unique among lovers. I neither quickly give up, nor rashly begin. We drive the archers from their posts. We protect those hearts within our square. Here we do. Thank you very much for having me. When I first moved to Baltimore 20 years ago, we used to come to things here, and it always just seemed like a place of infinite possibility. It's a real treat to be here, so thank you, Laura. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everybody.
It's good that it gets down to us, because, and what was that line too? Your heart is pure as river at your door. I'd be remiss if it didn't mention David Crandall tonight. I like what Laura said. I think I heard. I wasn't there, so it's hearsay. But the sea must have wanted him more. But we miss him. Help is on the way.
So only the real ones remain, right? Only the real ones. Or the obligated. By the way, this is what you stayed for. This is all I do. Thank you. Thank you. We're called Hellp. Good to be in this place. Thank you. Kind people. Thanks, real ones. Check, check. Give me. Never mind. fellow sufferers. I thought there'd be other equipment up here, and it's embarrassing, the shamefully small size that I am. It's truly humiliating, so I humble myself and humiliate myself before you. I thought it was going to be different. I thought it was going to look really cool, and that amp was going to just fit in there. Imagine my shame and embarrassment. See you around.